Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night to you, wherever you may be watching me from today. My name is Thelma Titi Ahamba, but I go by Themmy. All right. I am a digital marketing consultant, a digital business mentor, and an education influencer. I want to welcome you to today's episode of Chat with Themmy. I am going to be talking to an amazing young man from my very own hometown, Monrovia, Liberia. Um, he is a powerhouse. He is the epitome of lifelong learning, and we're going to be digging into his wealth of knowledge on a very interesting topic around lifelong learning. So I hope you sit tight. Thanks for supporting this journey so far. If you've been following from LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you've been following from, thank you so much for being on this journey with me. I hope you're steering your life in the right direction with all these amazing people I get to talk to and all the amazing discussions we get to have. All right. So now we're jumping into it. You know how we do it. Before I get my guests on stage, I want you to give me a drum roll. So let's give it up for Mr. Edwin Olu Bestman. Okay, let's get him right up here, guys. Hello, hello, Edwin. Thank you so much for taking time out to chat with me.
Thank you, Tiama.
I remember when
I'm
I
happy
when I
to be here.
when I put it out there that I wanted to guest feature on Chat with Timmy, I was like, "Who do you want me to talk to?" And then someone tagged him like, "Oh, talk to Edwin. He's an amazing young man." I'm like, "Okay, right on that. I'm coming. I'm coming." And thank you so much for giving me your time to sit and spend some time with me and my community to educate us, to inspire us, and empower us with your story, guys. If you do not know, Edwin is an award-winning poet. Like the man doesn't only have award from Liberia, an international award-winning poet. He's amazing. He likes to jump at opportunities when he sees it, and he's a lifelong learner. And today we're going to be talking about that. He's a civil engineer as well by profession, and he's one of Liberia's biggest education bloggers. Okay? He's one of Liberia's biggest education blogger. His blog, yeah, you are once you get across his blog, the Daily Dose, you just always find something inspiring, something to give you hope and stuff like that. And that's one thing I admire him for. All right. So Edwin, that was just a snippet of who you are. We want to hear from the horse's mouth. Please do us.
Okay, thank you, Tiama. My name is Edwin Olu Bestman, and I'm from Monrovia, Liberia, and I'm a poet, a civil engineer, and I'm also a blogger. I like to write. Yeah, I think that's all about me. And yeah, I love to put pen to paper. I love to write things. I see myself as a storyteller. I love to tell stories about Liberia, about things around me, my experiences, because I believe, people learn from experiences. And so the best thing I can do for myself is to, put my pen to paper and tell my story. The best thing about learning is the fact that, no one tells a story better than you. So it's always an opportunity when you have, the space to tell your story. So I do believe in telling my story using my pen to tell a story. And the story of the Liberian people, the food we eat, the things that we do, our culture, our ethnicity, and a lot more I can talk about. I'm also a civil engineer by profession, and um, I hold BSc in civil engineering, and I just completed my master's in engineering management, focusing on too many things, too many factors, focusing on financial analysis, and a lot more. So I think that's everything.
Guys, a round of
Yeah.
applause for this amazing young man. Like too much of a science student for me. Trust me. When I was in high school, I really did not used to like science students. Like I felt like they were just all up in our faces. And they were like behaving like the smart ones. They were behaving like the foolish ones. And I'm like, y'all give us chance and go stay somewhere. I've always been a business student, and science students have always not been on my best of the list. Okay, so but it's amazing, and I highly respect science students because that thing is not for play. Honestly speaking, the
Yeah,
things you guys can
sure.
hit
That's
head is not for play, and I give you kudos for that. You're an amazing young man. Science BSc, science but master. Seriously, you like science that much? Oh boy, we're going places with that kind of brain you have. But definitely, it's an honor to have you on the show today, and I love this topic that we're going to talk about, the power of lifelong learning, because you, Edwin, are a definition of what a lifelong learner is. You're a writer, you're a blogger, you're a poet, you're a civil engineer. Like, what else are you learning? What else are you up to?
so many things for me, particularly I think I'm very passionate and curious about everything around me. you know I love to take chances of anything that I found to learn, whether from the business side, whether from the civil engineering side, from the literature side. I think I just like to make use of the opportunity that I have at hand. you know so I write poems, I do literature, I love to solve mathematics. I love to solve complex problems. I think it was one of the reasons for which I decided to do civil engineering. And yeah, I also love to read. I love books, and I also love business. Um, I did engineering management for my master's degree. It's all about leadership, communication, and decision making, and also marketing.
Amazing.
So I think it's really good.
What would you say for someone? And there's this famous quote that says, "The day you stop learning is the day you die." Can you give me your perspective to that quote?
Yeah, I think learning is a process. The only time it stops when you die, because when you die, you don't have the ability to communicate. You don't have the ability to do something. So while you are alive, I think is the best time to utilize every opportunity that you have to learn. I mean, the only way people get to learn when you are curious, like curiosity, takes people in to learn. If you are not curious,
But
you
the same
cannot learn.
curiosity killed the cat. The same curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah,
But
you just,
how can we balance that? Because there's this one thing, there's one adage that say the day you stop learning is the day you die, and then there's another adage that say curiosity killed the cat. So where do we strike the balance?
for me, for the curiosity kid, the cat, I don't want to believe that. For me, I subscribe to Albert Einstein. Because Albert Einstein was, he did a lot for science. And I believe in so many things that he did, and today he changed the world. We can see the world around us. So many things that he brought, for people to learn and all that stuff. So one of the things that he talked about during his time on Earth, he talked about curiosity. So the best way to learn is to be curious. When you are curious, you'll be willing to learn. You have the passion to learn. So I believe when you are passionate, you are willing, and you are curious, it's very easy to learn because you don't force people to learn. It's based on your willingness.
Exactly.
So I believe when you are curious, you will learn.
That's amazing. All right. So sometimes people think about education. Maybe the first thing that could pop in their head is former side of education, former type of education. Um, and with you being a very curious person, I'm sure you don't only have your hands on former education. You probably have dipped your hands in a lot of other places from experience and just you exploring life in general. And would you share on how not keeping yourself in a box of formal education, would you want to share with us on how that can elevate someone?
Usually when I talk to people, it's not always, you don't need education always to become successful. In fact, education is not a guarantee that you'll become successful. I tell
Can
people
you repeat
education
that
is
for
not
the people in the back?
I say education is not a guarantee that you'll become successful. It's not a guarantee. We want to go to school because we want to make everything right. We want to we want to work on our decision to make sure our decisions are right in certain things. But it doesn't guarantee us. It doesn't give us the idea that we'll become successful. So for us to become successful, there are so many factors included. There are so many things that we need to do. We have to connect with people. We have to network. We have to build our own cycle, of friends or people that we can work with. So for me, I don't think it's always the case of you going to school to become successful. No, you can even be a market person once you are focused, once you know what you want to achieve and the things that you want to achieve, and you continue to participate in different programs, yeah, and continue to push your dream forward. I mean, it's just about moving yourself out of your comfort zone. Most times people, because I tell people nothing grows in a comfort zone. When you're still in your comfort zone,
Yeah.
you just remain stagnated and you don't move. So I mean, the only way you can do something is when you move away from your comfort zone. So I mean, this goes for both the formal education and the non-formal education. If you want to do
Yeah.
something, you have to move from your comfort zone. It applies to both sides. So I believe that anyone can explore. Is based on yourself. Where do you want to see yourself? How do you want to see yourself? These are all things that you should pay attention to. But I believe you just have to leave your comfort zone and make yourself ready for the challenges ahead and face your fears and try to do what you want to do.
All right. And as you're talking, something just came to mind. Um, how can we ensure that whatever we're participating in, right, in our effort to learning something, how can we reinforce the fact that okay, what to get comfortable by saying what I've taken time to spend time doing or to spend time working on, I can confidently say that I'm good at it or that I have learned it. How can we marry the process of learning and our action in execution? Can you speak to that?
So I think it takes time, like I said previously, learning is a process, everything takes time. But I can tell you everything that you learn, it doesn't go in vain. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't go in
Yeah,
vain.
this
Everything
that
that you
part
learn.
doesn't.
So if you learn something, let's say for an example, you go to a public speaking class, or maybe you attend a communication class or writing class. I mean, at the present moment, you won't understand the essence of going to that class or going to that program. But I
Yeah.
mean, over time you get to understand that, oh, this was already profitable, this was good, this was that.
Yeah.
Like when I was in Liberia, I never knew that all of the programs that I went for were building me to come to Malaysia for study, because the education system here is actually different from what we have in Liberia. This is
Wow.
on this side is very competitive, it's challenging. So you have to build yourself in a way that when you get here, you'll be up there. You don't want to be at the back when your friends are moving. So you have to prepare yourself. So all
No,
of
I
the
think.
things that I learned in Liberia, like
Mm,
solving complex problems, doing critical thinking. I learned critical thinking in Stella Maris, how to do solving complex problem, critical thinking. All of these things prepared me to come here to Malaysia. And it was I can say it was not really hard for me because I already had, previous knowledge on these things. So I think if we won't know if we're doing it now, we think that, oh, because we are going for a public speaking class or because we are attending digital marketing class, oh, this is not really helpful. But who knows? You might go somewhere one day and they will be looking for somebody and you can stand up to say, oh yes, and you will see it's not something that is hidden. If you can do something, I mean you will see it within yourself.
exactly. And just the way you're talking about critical thinking. I mean, in a case of Liberia, you don't even need to go to college or go to formal school to be able to have critical thinking. The environment forces you to think on your feet. The environment forces you
Exactly.
to solve complex problems because of your daily experience. And the thing is, I like to tell people that we don't just learn from a particular space, right? We learn from our everyday interactions, we learn from our everyday experiences. Because, say, for instance, if you're, let's take the petty traders, for example, right? You come across a kid. I'll share this story. I came across a kid one time when I was in Liberia, and he was selling his bananas, all right, in the tray. He was selling his bananas, and then I think he had like the last bunch or something, or he has like the last two bunches. And then I had come out of the supermarket, and he was like, "Auntie, buy the banana." I didn't feel like buying the banana, and he was like, I think it was like 150 or so for a bunch. And he was like, um, you can take the two for 250 instead of 300, right? And just looking at the fact that that kid, he wouldn't be more than 12 years old, right? As young as he's probably the age of someone in elementary school or even lower, right? At that age, he already has learned through business how to negotiate, how to sell, how to put himself out there. And same, I had that experience as a child. As a child, I was selling for my mom, right? And then growing up, I mean, I liked selling for my mom. I was selling pastries at the time because of our circumstances. But then what that taught me in that time, right? And like you said, it's about lifelong learning. I wasn't in college, I was in elementary school and I was selling for my mom. But what that experience at that time taught me was I knew how to talk to people. I knew how to approach people. I knew how to have a conversation with people, irrespective of what their age, their status, or whatever. Bro, I'm selling cornbread and shortbread. Everybody eats cornbread and shortbread. It doesn't matter whether you have money or you don't have money. You all want to experience good pastries. Everybody wants to experience good pastries, right? And then I developed a negotiation skill. So I would sell in the morning before going to school, and sometimes after school, I'll go and sell. All right. So what I would do is for in the morning it's like breakfast, right? And then in the morning, in the evening it's like, you could have your pastries. We have another guest on the show, y'all. You could have your pastries with tea or coffee or whatever you want to have before you go to bed if you want to eat something light, right? And as young as I was at the age of 9, I would go to I was out in the communities and I was selling from like door to door, like traditional selling, right? And then I'll tell you, I brought breakfast. If you cannot have breakfast now, well, keep it and take it in the evening. And when I come from school, I get the money. The fact that you're taking it from me and you're not paying upfront in your mind, you're saving whatever money right now. But to me, it's not a loss. That's a great negotiation because it's just like I came to America and then I started learning the credit system. And then I'm like, these businesses that accept credit card, even if they don't make sales in the next 5 months, they already people already took stuff on credit. So for the next 5 months, it's covered financially because they're taking $100 a month, $900 a month here, and they're like just making money in the back end simply because how do you call it? Simply they're making money in the back end simply because they they already sold goods on credit. So irrespective of how this trade season is for them, they have finances that's going to cover the entire period. Okay. So as a child, your experience matters because you can learn some life skills out of there, right? Whether it's a pleasant experience or it's an unpleasant experience, you can literally grab some life skills out of there that you can use for the future.
Sure, sure. So
So
I think I think I share similar thing because in Liberia, due to the harsh conditions, that we find ourselves, and I mean, myself as a teacher for a very long time in different schools across Liberia, and I can tell you, all of the time that I was doing that, I learned a lot. I learned how to be responsible, how to work for my own money. These are things that we grow up, and I think it's very important for us to learn all of these things because if we don't learn it at the time that we're supposed to learn it, then it becomes a problem in the future. So I think it's never a loss when you learn something.
very much so, and I think um when we put ourselves in a position to be coachable or to be teachable, we can learn from anyone and everyone.
Sure, sure,
And
sure.
if we put our mind to the fact that, okay, irrespective of what happens to me, what can I take out of this experience, or what can I take? Maybe you meet a child who's a whiny baby who's always crying, right? As an adult, say for instance, someone brings their child to you and leave their child with you and say, "Oh, I want to go do stuff to go calm back." You have to find a way to keep that baby calm, even if you did not have a skill to keep a crying baby calm before. whether the mother takes 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that 30 minutes of that baby with you who's, trying to communicate their discomfort or trying to communicate their pain with you, you are going to learn in that space. You are going to learn. You this you're going to learn in that space. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
guys, just
I,
me, multitasking. Okay, I got company.
I
I got
think,
company with you.
yeah, I think in Liberia, one of the things too that I've noticed over time, I think the reason for which a lot of people don't learn in Liberia because a lot of time they are not willing to learn, they are not teachable, and people want to learn, but they do it with arrogance. You can learn with arrogance, right? So I mean, you have to prepare yourself and be willing to learn, be willing to accept corrections, and be willing to take instructions because learning I mean, it's a whole long process. So if you want to get forward with it, it takes time, it takes commitment, it takes dedication, hard work. So I believe that everything that we learn is part of the process, is part of what we will do in the future, what we will do now. So I just believe that everything we learn to me is not a loss, whether now, whether tomorrow. It's just a process. Over time, we get to know the benefit of all of the things that we have learned.
Sorry. Definitely, because the thing is, learning. I'll say my someone once told me, the longer we live, the more we learn. and
Mm-hmm.
and I think learning has to be a conscious decision and a conscious effort to say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I want to unlearn, and I think unlearning is part of the process of learning. Maybe you had this perception growing up as a child. Maybe you had this perception about parenting. Maybe you had this perception about education, or you had
Mm-hmm.
this perception about people who don't go to college and stuff like that, right? But as you grow older, you start to experience other people, and then you start to learn different things and stuff like that. It gives you the opportunity to unlearn, to relearn some things, and then to put yourself in a position where you're like, oh, I didn't know this could, I didn't know this was like this, or I did not know. I spoke to someone recently, and she's like, there's something called the third. There are some things that you know, and there are some things that you don't know, that you don't know. But there are other things that you do not know, and you also do not know that you do not know these things. All right. So like I think these are like different types of learning. And then once you're able to learn or get that insight, it becomes like a light bulb moment for you. It becomes like, oh wow, so this thing been like this all along and I had no idea, and then stuff like that. So thank you so much, Edwin, for giving me your time and coming onto the show to educate us and share your story of being a lifelong learner. Thank you so much for taking off time to have a chat with me. I look forward to engaging with you more. And guys, I hope you took something out of this conversation today. Uh, this brings us to the end of today's episode of Chat with Timmy. I hope you do take some of these terms and definitely make good use of it, because I am looking to see you at the top. Okay, so thank you so much, Edward. If we are looking for you, where can we find you? I think I have the right address.
I'm available on LinkedIn. The same name, Edwin Olu Bestman. All my
Right here.
social media
So
platforms, I use the same name, Edwin Olu Bestman. Just very simple. I don't want people to find it hard to find me.
very much, and that's very, having a uniform identity across social media is very much important. It makes it
Sure,
very,
sure, sure.
it
Very
makes it
simple.
a little bit, because you're transparent with your ID and everything. It makes it
Sure, sure.
people can recognize you for who you are across any platform. It's not easy to impersonate you or take on you,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and be impersonating your actual identity. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. This brother has to be sorted out. Thank you guys. This brings us to the end. Of course, you had a co-host here shouting and shouting in the background. I hope you guys understood what he was saying, but I'm sure he's just encouraging you to to learn, irrespective of where you find yourself. I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good day and bye bye.
Thank you.